Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of H.R. 2919, the Improving Investment Research for Small and Emerging Issuers Act. I would like to thank my colleagues, Congressman Huizenga and Congressman McAdams, for their efforts on this bipartisan legislation that will help small companies and our capital markets. The U.S. capital markets have and continue to be a vibrant ecosystem, fueling America's economic growth and generating millions of private sector jobs. These markets provide financing and needed resources to the smallest startups and the largest international companies. However, a company's size often impacts how easily it can access capital. For example, larger companies have generally found capital markets easier to access than smaller ones. While the number of IPOs in the U.S. has rebounded from its post-crisis glut, thanks in large part to the success of the Bipartisan Jobs Act of 2012, smaller companies still face significant regulatory and market impediments that disincentivize them from accessing capital via the public markets. There are differing perspectives as to why fewer companies, particularly small companies, have gone public over the past few decades. The data suggests that in fulfilling its capital formation mandate, the Securities and Exchange Commission needs to tailor its approach to account for the varying nature and size of companies. An important piece to this approach is recognizing insufficient research of coverage of micro-cap, small-cap, and emerging companies that can undermine the liquidity necessary to attract investor interest and facilitate capital necessary for growth. This bipartisan legislation would direct the SEC to study, evaluate, and report on issues affecting the ability of emerging growth companies and other small issuers to obtain research coverage, including SEC rules, FINRA rules, state and federal liability concerns, the 2003 Global Research Analyst Settlements, and MiFID II. Again, I want to thank Congressman Huizenga and Congressman McAdams for this common sense and bipartisan legislation which I support. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting H.R. 2919, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Kentucky reserves the balance.